I'm joined live by the party's Shadow Schools Minister, Stephen Morgan. First time on the programme. Good to have you here. Thank you for coming in. It looked like they had a bit of a laugh at Deputy Prime Minister's questions. What do you think from the room?
They did. It was a bit spikier compared with usual, but I think Angela Rayner always does a brilliant job speaking up for our country.
Now, I want to talk to you about housing policy because really feels to me like it's gearing out to be one of the big battlegrounds for the next election. Labour is quite controversially saying it could build on the Green Belt. Can you just explain what that means? What is the Green Belt for our viewers who might not understand?
Well, I think it'd be fair to say that we've got a housing crisis in our country, and it absolutely is an important issue that I hear on the doorstep all the time. In my own constituency, 2,000 people are waiting on the council's waiting list for a home. The government target used to be for 17,500 more homes in Portsmouth, in a really densely populated city. What Keir set out today, I think, is our intentions to say a lot more on this in future, that we need to make some tough choices about reforming the planning system and making sure we build the homes that our country needs. And I think that's the right approach. And as he said, he could be on the side of businesses and on the side of builders, not on the side of blockers.
The question was about the Green Belt, though, right? The kind of buffer, if you like, between the countryside and urban areas that many people think is quite important to stop, an urban sprawl. Keir Starmer told me recently that he would take on the NIMBYs. But is that a bit dismissive of some people who might have genuine concerns about their local area?
Well, it's really important that people have their say, and communities are absolutely instrumental in that, and that's why we've got our Take Back Control bill that Lisa Nandy's been setting out, and she's been engaging with communities up and down the country. But we've got to find ways of building homes in our country. It's desperately needed. The way that we live is changing, and I think we've got to make sure that local authorities and communities have their say in these important decisions.
You say communities have their say, but, that's not completely what you're saying, is it? You're saying that actually, look, it's important to build homes just even on areas like the Green Belt.
Well, what I know about some of the consultation around home building is that sometimes the communities get involved too late in the day, and actually we need to bring forward the ways that communities have their say much earlier on.
OK. Now, teachers are striking. I'm going to ask you what Labour would do, but can I just ban the phrase that you want to get around the table? Because I feel like that's a given, right? We know you want to get around the table. I want to know what you're going to say when you get around the table. So teachers have turned down a 4.3% pay rise. What would Labour do?
Well, the first thing to say is that teachers are overworked, they're under huge stress, and I think they're undervalued. And I think the government have not done enough to negotiate a deal. I won't say it, but we certainly do want to see
Don't say it. Come on.
A fair deal for
What is
teachers.
a fair deal, then? What is a fair deal?
Well, it's really difficult.
Everyone wants to see a fair deal, but everyone
course.
has different definitions of what a fair deal is, right?
Really difficult for us to say. When we're not in government, we don't have the information available to us. But we've got to listen and engage to teachers. They do tremendous work.
You want to get around the table, I've got it, but what do you want to do? What do you want to do?
What keeps me awake at night, Sophie, is the fact that so many teachers are leaving the profession. They've joined the profession, they've got the chance to transform children's lives, but within a few years, they leave because they're demoralised, the workload is too great. Pay is really important. There are other things as well, and that's why I'm talking to teachers on a regular basis to find out what they'd want to see from an incoming Labour government, and that's my priority.
I think what a lot of teachers would like to see is more pay, right? So what would Labour give them more pay?
Well, look at what we did in government last time round. We transformed our nation's schools, and pay rose by 19% under the last Labour government. We completely professionalised the teaching profession, and people joined that job. It was a brilliant job for people to do. We want to recruit more teachers, so I'm absolutely committed to talking to trade unions, to teachers and others. I was in a school this morning hearing what their concerns are, and I think more flexible working is one of the answers to their problems that they face.
I read an interview with Rachel Reeves recently where she was talking about how she wouldn't send her children to private school because she was saying that she wants them to see the world as it is. What's your view on private education?
I want to see every child in every part of our country going to a brilliant local school.
Of course, that's a given, right? But what is your view on private education?
Well, we've been really clear that we need to make some tough choices about how schools are funded, and we think it's only fair that we end the tax breaks that private schools enjoy. That would generate £2.2 billion that would go into the state sector and would do some really transformative things to improve outcomes for all young people.
Do you think that people who go to private school don't see the world as it is?
I think that parents make the choice that they think is best for their child. It wouldn't be a choice that I would make, but ultimately that's a choice that some parents do choose to make.
Now, I just want to talk to you a bit about Brexit, because it seems to me that Keir Starmer has been pretty punchy about Brexit today. I said breakfast there. That's such a classic Brexit slip of the tongue there. So to my colleague Ian King, for example, he said he would be open to renegotiation. There's lots of things that he wants to do, including closer trading. So would Labour see a much closer relationship with the EU than the current government then?
Well, I was a Remainer. I didn't want to see Brexit happen, but I accepted the outcome of the referendum, wanted to put that back to the people, but lost that argument at the last general election. What Keir set out is obviously a 5-point plan that we want to break down the barriers for trade, we want as close as possible relationship with the EU. I think that's the right approach. We need to move on, we need to make Brexit work, just smooth over the edges and get the best for our country.
You've ruled out rejoin the EU. You said there that you lost the argument at the last election to have another referendum. You've also ruled out rejoining the single market. I just wonder about the customs union, because it strikes me that, look, the big issue that some would say with the customs union is you can't strike your own trade deals. But, would you say that the trade deals that we have managed to get with other countries have outweighed that we could have as part of the customs union?
Well, I think what we're seeing with some of the trade deals is there's not much detail there at all, and that's why we want to see a Labour government to have a close possible relationship with the European Union.
Do you think we could be looking at the customs union under a Labour government?
Well, we're really clear that we want to see a much closer relationship with Europe. We've set out a lot more detail on our policies ahead of the next election.
What about the customs union? I know I'm asking you to make, you don't want to give...
It's not my brief, of course.
Yeah.
What I want to do is to make sure we hold the current government to account for their failings on Brexit and we get the best possible deal for our economy and create the jobs that our country so desperately needs.
OK, thank you very much. It's great to have you on the programme today. Thank you.
Thank you.